Earlier, we talked earlier this week, probably, we talked about what Bobby Wagner brings to this football team.
Mhm.
He's going to the Hall of Fame, right? Like
I think he will
he's got a
be.
Super Bowl ring. Like Bobby Wagner is just on a I mean, in a lot of ways, another level of anybody that's been on the team for some time.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think that delivers for the Commanders?
I mean, Bobby,
Yeah.
I think you have a guy who has played that position at a super high level for a long time. It kind of takes a lot of pressure off of other guys, like trying to have a young guy call a defense, have a young guy learn this. Bobby's going to be able to do that. On top of it, those guys look up to him and they know who he is. So they're going to want to impress him, which means that they may study a little bit more. They come to work a little bit better. And think about it, he's 34, 35 now. When he's out on the football field working and they see him working hard and not complaining, what does that do in essence for a team? If you see a guy who's a potential Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer, working his ass off, you can't complain. You got to come to work.
He just turned 34 like
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. One of the I asked I've asked Bobby a couple questions now, but as he was wrapping up mini camp, he did a press avail, and I was like, "Hey, understanding it's only June, like, what do you think of this team?" And he was like, "It's only June, bro." Like, I just love the level of honesty with which he can operate with, and I think
It's
to
only June, but he still is
busted his
getting
ass,
ready.
right?
And it's only June, it's only July, it's August. And when it's August, he's gonna be ready to go. And I guarantee you, people in his position know, and there are guys in that defense understand when it's time to play, you can be ready to play. Because I don't think he gives a damn about calling somebody out, telling them they're not doing enough to help them win.
Well, and I loved this. So, the last great linebacker in Washington was London Fletcher.
Yep.
And Fletch joined the one of the Commanders' internal podcasts with Mike Jenkins and Fred Smoot, talking about what Bobby brings to this organization.
Mhm.
And London Fletcher, who knows a thing or two about being in these positions, said instant credibility.
Yeah.
He still brings playmaking ability, even at 34 years old. It reminds me of myself when I made the transition to DC. Fletcher added, "You bring him in first and foremost for his leadership. He's a great leader. He's been on great defenses. He knows how to run the system Dan Quinn wants. But it's one thing to be a leader. It's quite another to also to be able to make plays, and he's still a high-level playmaker."
Yep.
Um, all of that I agree with. If you look at last season, he finished with 183 tackles. I believe he led the NFL in tackles. 11 TFLs. He had a fumble recovery, 3.5 sacks. Like he's all over the field, and I think Washington will just be so well served to have that, and it hasn't happened in so long.
Yeah. Agree. I mean, like when people speak about leadership, everyone say I'm a leader, or that's the most people say that guy's a leader. Why? Because he makes the most money, or he's been around the longest. And those things don't automatically make you a leader. Leaders are people that are selfless. Okay. Leaders are people that can motivate others, influence others, not just the person that just want to take credit when things go well or try to act like he's so mad at the media all the time. That's not the leader necessarily. What guy can say something and offense, defense, and special teams take heed to it? That's when you find out who your leaders are.
For sure. And I think it should be more focused on like getting young guys better and building things out. And I think that's where they are. I don't know. The last who was Thomas Davis, right? Was who
Yeah.
Ron brought in.
Mhm.
And Thomas Davis was a great player. Um,
Can't leave when you're not starting though, or on the field playing.
well, and I think they tried to play him and it wasn't there, and that thing kind of went sideways. At that point, Thomas Davis had played. He was 37. Is there any part of you that wonders what Wagner has left
Nope.
at 34?
Mm-mm. I mean, last year I looked at him, and people go, "Oh, he don't cover as well." Hell, he got guys that their first year can't cover,
Right.
second year can't cover. But the whole thing about it is, as an overall linebacker, he's as good as any out there right now, still. And a lot of times, it's not about him being the fastest and this, that, and the other. Can he help other guys come along quicker? Can he have the other guys want to work harder and put more into this game now to get more out of it? That happens on multiple teams. You know, we have in this town, we act like you got to have all young players. Not going to win for you. You got to have a delicate balance of young and old. Some guys right there in the prime, so you constantly keep that wheel rolling, and that's what we haven't had for a long time.
Well, and dude, when Rivera got to town, he tried to establish that he was the sheriff, right? Like, I'm the law and everything's coming through me. And that's okay. It didn't work, obviously, but these guys are trying something very different. The fact that there's no concern with bringing in a guy with the star power of Bobby Wagner who can, like, if Wagner, say things go sideways and they're 1-3 and Wagner blasts the coverage schemes, like, that carries weight because this guy knows what he's talking about. And they are more than comfortable enough to allow someone with the gravitas to question them in the building. And that hasn't happened for a while.
But that's what, when you start going through history, no matter if it's military, government, athletics, business, the people that were great, they did not have a problem bringing in people like that. The people that talked about how great they were always afraid of having competition. So whenever you see people freely bringing in people that are as good as them, you know, has as much recognition as them, that person is comfortable in himself. A lot of people that are not comfortable in themselves are uncomfortable being around those that have to make them work harder.
Sure.
You know, I always use the example of a friend of mine was a teacher and started to do extra stuff for the kids. The other teachers say, "Hey, you got to stop that. We're gonna have to start doing more work." Well, if your concern is not to benefit and promote these kids, then why the hell are you working with them?
Great point. Here's what we're going to do. Quick break. Pat Leonard joins us next, and we're giving away Dirty Heads and Slightly Stupid tickets.